How to instantly prepare for client meetings. What's going on, everybody? If you are an agency owner, agency client manager, freelancer, or anybody in the digital space and beyond, you have services that you run for clients. And oftentimes you'll have to have client meetings, whether they be virtual, in person, so on and so forth. Preparing for client meetings can take a lot of time. It can take a lot of effort, brain power to know exactly what the agenda should be, if you've covered everything, and to know how to better their service, how to upsell, how to overcome their situations, obstacles, problems, and overall managing all the key stakeholders in the meeting. It's a lot, and it can be a lot. Now, over the past 6-7 years, I've probably run thousands of client meetings. And I've noticed that there are certain things that I do that I've streamlined the process with that just helps automate all the preparation. There's certain go-to links, there's certain go-to mechanisms that I use just habitually without even thinking about it. And it literally saves me so much time and makes my client meetings go way smoother. So I wanted to make this because I thought it would be really beneficial for y'all to see how I do it and then put your own twist on it once you can map it out. So this goes for agency owners, client managers, account managers getting into different digital services. This can apply to anyone from beginner to a 10-year veteran. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the format now of how to instantly prepare for client meetings. Let's do it. Okay, so here's a document, and I've created some step-by-step processes on how to set up yourself and set up a system to instantaneously prepare for client meetings. So it basically is these 4 points, okay? 1, have a centralized document to record everything, and I'm going to get into all these sub-bullet points in a minute, but you want to have one centralized document to report everything about that client. 2, you want to have all the services open that you do. That way you can show analytics, you could show proof, and you could show the tangible deliverables of what you're actually selling. 3, you're going to review previous notes, previous communications, and previous things so you're up to date with all the current events for that meeting, and you can talk educatedly about things. And then finally, you're going to have either tests and or upsells. Right? So this is actually going to help you increase your revenue too. At the minimum, you can have tests and next steps, but you can also work in upsells into here as well. So I want to get into all 4 of these in more detail by showing you an actual example. So the first point, having one centralized document to record everything. So I just positioned myself, notice I have a bajillion of pin tabs open, but I just positioned myself into one of our running notes docs. We've gone over it on this channel before. We use running notes, or what we call logbooks, sort of interchangeable. It's basically a live document, and it's one document that everybody knows to go to, either both internally in our operations and externally client facing. It's basically the holy Bible of that client, right? So anything from email correspondence, like subject line referrals, important links, agendas of meetings, notes of previous meetings, creative that needs to be approved, reporting, it all can be combined in this document. And we find it super helpful because we can easily identify everything that's been done for this client. This client has over 14 pages of notes, and they're not even one of our full service clients. Some of our full service clients have hundreds and hundreds of pages because we've had them for years. So this running notes process is really, really helpful because it centralizes everything on one page. And I'm going to show you some of the really quick hacks that I use to prepare for client meetings. So the first thing I have here is all of these links, okay? And if I go back to our notes, the first sub-bullet point is links to all reporting and service analytics by service. So in this, I have a hyperlink to open the client's website, to open the client's Google Analytics account, to open the client's Meta Ads account, their Facebook and Instagram account, their YouTube ads account, and then our reporting software, Report Card. So I have links to open all of their individual profiles right from the very start. And honestly, if the first thing I do to prepare for the client meeting is to open up their running notes, that's step one. Step two would be to open up all of their links. I do this because it's just good to have everything open. You never know where a meeting's going to take you. You can have a bullet point agenda and have, a loose, I call it a loose bullet point agenda, but the client's going to throw things at you like questions, comments, or just overall input that is going to throw you off your agenda. You just don't know. So you have to build in some flexibility. And that's why I like to have absolutely everything open that we're tied to, because that gives me the flexibility on the fly to go in there fast and have the answers. So what I did is easily what you can do is, these are hyperlinked. I can open this. It opens up in a new tab, and then I'm good to go. What I did here is I opened up all of the tabs that I'm going to use in sequential order, and I did it in order of importance too. I usually start with the website, because usually when the client we're having a meeting or whatever, and we're having that intro, it's good to just show their website on screen, and maybe that's a good place for us to start. Then I go into Google Analytics, because that is our reporting software, and it covers absolutely everything we do. Then I get into Meta Ads, Facebook, and Instagram, because they have the most amount of budget geared towards their social media efforts. So I usually prioritize my meeting by what they're most spending in. In this case, it's Meta Ads. So that's why I have Meta Ads, Facebook, and Instagram next. And notice I'm doing everything from left to right. This is the website. This is Google Analytics. Here's their Meta Ads account. Here's their Facebook account. Here's their Instagram account. Then I have YouTube ads. YouTube ads is next, followed by Report Garden, which I don't really use that much, but it's good to have open. So it's really, really impactful to actually open all of these things, make sure they're refreshed, and make sure your date ranges are right, because that's going to help you with the next step. And the next step is going over previous notes, links, and important docs, which is fine, but also it's going to help you when evaluating performance of your actual services. So if you're running Meta Ads, it's going to help you actually go through the Meta Ads, see which ones are working, not working, and have just a little bit of testing or a little nugget to give to the client that's going to be most impactful. So this document has links to all reporting like you saw. There's previous notes, links, and important docs. And then I make the notes ready for future note taking. So let me go back to this document. So I already have an agenda for today, because we have a meeting today, and I have some things blurred out because I have to keep the client anonymous. But the first thing I have is emails. So these are actually all subject lines from our inbox since our last meeting. And these are potential communications or questions that we need to go over. So I'm going to start with this. And I usually start with the most recent first, because clients, just like anybody, the most recent is going to be at the top of mind. So I know that in my agenda, if I go through all of these first, right? If I go through all of these first, that's usually going to be their most pressing questions, because it happened most recently to them. So that way I can cover them. I don't want to start getting into analytics and reporting and all this stuff when I haven't covered their most recent questions that I know of, because it's just going to stay at the top of their mind, and they're going to get frustrated because I didn't address that already. So again, I have this theme of prioritizing importance. Prioritize important things, because you want to hit the things that are most impactful to the client, to your service, to whatever, because we could spend all day going through all of the different ad accounts, all of the agendas, everything we could absolutely do. But unfortunately, no one really has that kind of time. So you have to prioritize the biggest, most important things first. So that's where I have these email subject lines come in, so I can reference any email correspondence and answer questions. Then we'll get into reporting, right? So this is my actual agenda of kind of my flow of where I want to go. So then I'll get into reporting, just to showcase how we're doing, quick update, how much we've spent, how many acquisitions we've received, or leads, or traffic, or whatever the case may be. And then I'm actually going to get into the individual services. We're going to get into meta ads. We're going to talk about YouTube ads and so on and so forth. But before I go into these screenshots here, I want to go back to our document because we're already, where are we? So we talked about having one centralized document with all of this information, links to all the reporting, previous notes, and getting ready to make notes. So that's what I've done in all of this. I'm ready to make notes everywhere. I have all my services pulled up so I can easily just make notes under each service, and that's how I keep everything organized, efficient for the internal team. Okay. Also, too, like I could scroll down and I could see previous notes as well. This is from February 22nd. So I can go in and reference all the previous notes in here to catch myself back up to speed. Okay. Open all services. So I kind of already talked about this. This is opening up all the tabs. That's literally second point that I do. I'll open up this document and then I'll open up all the service tabs in the right order. So I already talked about this. Why I do this is because I want to make sure my date ranges are set up. I want to make sure I have all the reporting access, and I want to be able to answer questions and evaluate performance very, very quickly. So in a matter of 10 seconds, I have completed this step and this step, all because I open up this document and then I just open up all these in separate tabs and I'm ready to go. So we're already more than halfway there. So what I'm going to do after I open everything up is I'm going to quickly evaluate some performance of all the services. And I'm not going to get into that now. It's not always an essential step to preparing for client meetings. Sometimes you just need to have it open because you need to go to it. But that is more valuable, especially when you can quickly evaluate performance on the fly. I'll have to make another video for that. But most evaluation of performance, again, there's that order of importance, right? Let's hit the most impactful things first. It usually stems from, what am I spending the most money on? What am I getting the most results on? And working backwards from there. And I do that in all of the services and all of the reporting software, Google Analytics, meta ads, YouTube ads. You start with the most important and you cascade down to the least important if you have time. Okay, then we have reviewing previous notes, which we already talked about. So we'll review the client communication since last meeting. We'll review previous meeting notes. Again, if we go back and forth to that example, that's the subject lines. This is really where the previous communication comes in part. And then I'll review any previous notes that I had in the document, so on and so forth. And then finally, tests and upsells. So I usually I could start the meeting this way, especially if they don't have any questions or inquiries. But I also like to keep it at the end because usually the meetings go longer and it establishes engagement and trust. If I go in there and say, hey, we need to change this and we need to change that, and I want to upsell you this and I want to upsell you that right off the bat, and maybe I haven't seen the clients in a while, I don't think we have enough trust and engagement in that conversation to warrant that. And that's typically why I like to save it till the end. Now, you have to be a little bit careful when you do save it all the way to the end because certain meetings may get cut off. Certain meetings you may lose attention span, so on and so forth. The time limit I like to have in my meetings is anywhere between 15 to 45 minutes. Usually it takes about 15 minutes to get caught up and things like that. You also want to gauge in the beginning. I'm getting into more like client meeting best practices, but you want to gauge in the beginning how much time you actually have and if they have any questions. But I'm not getting into that too much this time. This is only to prepare. So for the tests and upsells, let's say you save it to the end, right? You're going to want to have two things ready, at least one of them. You're always going to want to have tests or next step in your service. The service is ever evolving, just like life. It's ever evolving. So how are we going to change it? How are we going to tweak it? And how are we going to make it better? You should be able to come up with ideas on how to make the service that much better. And you do that by, looking at best practices, communicating with your team. Often your team members actually doing the service will give you these ideas already because they're in it every day. And they'll especially the intelligent ones, that actually take it the next step. They'll say, hey, David, we should try this. Or, hey, David, we should try a new campaign that does X, Y, and Z. Or maybe we should A/B test this item. That is always, always, always a good way to enhance the service and make it better. You should always be making the service better anytime you try and talk to the client, unless the service is kicking butt and it's just working and maybe you just don't want to change anything. That's okay too. But finally, we have upsells, right? So when you have a meeting, I have yet to establish an upsell cadence. It really just depends on the situation, but there should be a minimum upsell cadence, meaning you should ask for more money from your clients a minimum amount of time, right? Every minimum amount of time. So let's say maybe it's every 3 months, maybe it's every month, maybe it's every week. I'm not condoning every week upsells unless you think it fits your business, but to have upsell roadmaps, you should have those kind of benchmarks in place. So upsells, what I like to do for upsells, I like to have quick case studies and quick proposals ready. So as an example, I want to talk about YouTube ads. It's particularly YouTube TV in this next meeting. They're doing YouTube ads, but they're not doing YouTube TV. So what I did is I went to another account, I blurred out everything, and I just have some of the data, and I show that, okay, for the previous month, YouTube TV got this results for this spend. This is something that I already know they believe in, that I already know that they have interest in because they've asked about it before, and this is a potential upsell. So when I look at that, I just have 2 quick screenshots. I don't have like a 10-page ebook of all my case studies. I just have a couple quick screenshots so I can explain it, justify it, and believe it, and show them. And I usually do something that showcases what they spent, what kind of results we get, and then something tangible for them to understand where the ad goes. So I have placements here. This is potential placements. And if I have to get more into the nitty-gritty, I will. But again, I don't even know if they're going to be in the upsell mood. So I just want to plant the seed at very minimum. So 2 quick screenshots gives me more than enough firepower. And that's why having quick case studies and quick proposals ready and on hand is great. So again, guys, we went through a lot of this. It sounds like it may be a lot of work. And up front, it may cost you a little more. It may cost you a little time to set this up correctly. But when you do, I guarantee that you're going to have some great results, some streamlined meetings. It's going to save you time. It's going to allow you more energy. It's going to keep you focused. It's going to keep your clients on track. And it's going to allow you to make more money and save more time ultimately. So this was how to instantly prepare for client meetings to quickly review. You have one centralized document that you open up within 5 seconds. You open up all of your services or all of your meaningful reporting in the next 5 seconds. So 10 seconds in, you're halfway there. You review your previous notes if you're not up to speed, and then you prepare yourself for tests and upsells. I mean, I say instantaneous, but this, honestly, it shouldn't take you much more than 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. When you first start doing it, it might take 15, 20, 25. But once you get in the habit and you know your service and you feel confident in evaluating performance and all those different things, then this should be very, very simple and easy to open and do. So hopefully this helps. I'll have more videos about training and how to do some of the things that are a little more intricate, like evaluating performance in next videos. But hopefully this gave you some value. If you have any comments, questions, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And I look forward to helping you guys out in the next video. Thank you so much. David Feldman-Makrias, signing out.